Back at her house, Lucilla confesses the truth to Acacius, revealing that her son Lucius is still alive, that he changed his name and became a gladiator. Acacius promises to help her, assuring her that in a few days he will go rescue him at night. However, all of this is overheard by a servant who will soon betray them. The second day of the games is approaching, and the gladiators have to practice. During the training, Hanno mocks Vigo, who punishes him by making him row endlessly. That night, Ravi finds him, treats his wounds, and Hanno tells him his story. A long time ago, he was married, but the woman he loved was killed by General Acacius. Ravi in turn shares his story. After leaving the sword behind, he married a very beautiful woman. The next day, the gladiators prepare for their second day of games. Hanno tells his comrades they have to be ready with no fear and advises them to follow all his instructions. The theme of the day is to recreate the Battle of Cannae. The opponents fire arrows and some of the gladiators manage to dodge them. Their strategy is to charge at them and then counter-attack. Hanno sees his chance and uses a crossbow to try and kill General Acacius, but he fails when one of his rivals strikes him before he can shoot. The game ends and Vigo asks who was responsible for that attack. All the gladiators blame each other, but Vigo knows the culprit was Hanno. Meanwhile, the servant informs the senator that Hanno is Lucilla's son. Later, Marcus visits the senator to collect on a bet, and seeing that he doesn't have the money, decides to take his house instead. The senator begs for a chance and tells him he has important information to offer. After hearing it, Marcus congratulates him, but he still expels him from his property. That night, Acacius and a small group of his men sneak into the colosseum with the goal of taking Hanno, but they are intercepted by the royal guard, who kills all of the Acacius soldiers. He and Lucilla are captured and brought to the royal palace. There, the twins are deeply disappointed as they had trusted Acacius. They cared about him, and this is how he repays them. In the end, Acacius, fed up with their words and childish attitude, tells them to just kill him already. Caracalla, filled with fury, draws his sword, ready to finish him off, but Gita stops him, saying they should make him suffer. A man like Acacius doesn't deserve a quick death. He deserves a slow, painful one. The two prisoners are taken to a cell, and Gita thanks Marcus to his loyalty and help to the Emperor. He assures him that from now on he will stop being just a merchant and become his most trusted friend. His right hand, someone worthy of his trust. Marcus thanks him for his words. Meanwhile, Hanno is being treated for his wounds, and Vigo tells him that Maximus' name has been erased from the wall of the gladiators. Right there is his tomb, along with his armor and sword. Maximus was a warrior who changed the empire in his time. He was a decorated soldier, but after Emperor Marcus Aurelius' death, he was enslaved. His wife and son were killed, and he, a slave, became a gladiator. He fought against the corrupt Emperor Commodus and died as a free man. In honor of the fallen, his armor was kept, and his tomb was inscribed with the words, "What we do in life echoes in eternity." The next day, Acacius is accused of treason and sentenced to the arena. Lucilla, changed to her seat, is forced to watch her husband face death in combat. First, 5 Praetorian warriors attack him, but Acacius manages to defeat them. Then he faces an experienced opponent. Hanno enters the arena. Though Acacius doesn't want to fight him, Hanno is ready. He confronts him, accusing him of his wife's death and the conquest of the city. Acacius explains that he had no choice, and though he knows he doesn't deserve it, he sincerely apologizes. In a sign of surrender, Acacius throws his sword to the ground. The emperors give their verdict, demanding that Hanno kill him. Just as Hanno is about to strike, Acacius confesses his love for Lucilla and the nobility of her character, which makes Hanno hesitate. The emperor's order Seeing this, the emperors order the Praetorians to end the conflict, and Acacius is struck down by a shower of arrows. Furious, Hanno stands up and challenges the emperors, asking if this is how they treat their heroes. He is then led back to his cell while the people show their discontent. That night, Marcus visits Hanno in his cell. He mentions that he gave him the reward he had been begging for, but now he has just wasted his one shot, and assures him that he will rot in there. Marcus also confesses his ambitions to become the next Roman emperor. Meanwhile, out in the streets, the people are rioting and the emperors are bickering, unable to come up with a solution to calm the crisis. During the heated discussion, Gita insults his brother Caracalla, calling him weak, and that sends finds Caracalla storming off to his room. There, Marcus approaches him and manipulates him, reminding him that Gita despises him and considers him inferior. Caracalla admits that Gita always had their parents' attention and confesses a dark memory from his birth. He tried to strangle Gita with his own umbilical cord. He believes that this twisted Gita's mind, making him responsible for all of his misfortune. Now Caracalla decides he has to prove his worth and end Gita's life, because if he does not, Gita is going to kill his little monkey, Dundas. Taking advantage of the chaos in the city, Caracalla ambushes Gita, who tries to stop him. With Marcus' help, Caracalla decapitates his brother. Not long after, Lucilla is also to be executed, but she uses a brief time she has left to speak with Hano. He offers his condolences for Acacia's death, calling him a good man. They make peace, and Hano admits that he too lost his wife, and the pain was devastating. Now that he has found his mother, he promises to do whatever it takes to protect her. The Senate convenes and Caracalla announces the death of his brother. He names his monkey, Dundas, as the first council of the Senate and Marcus as the second council. As he leaves, Caracalla makes it clear that he is the one in control of the empire now. As a show of power, he presents Gita's head to the senators, proclaiming that the emperor has fallen and is now in the hands of a made man. With that, Caracalla asks the senators whom they will serve when the time comes. Terrified, the senators pledge their loyalty to him. On the other hand, Marcus approaches Lucilla and reveals that in the past he was not just a soldier, he was also a tortured slave. Now he sees this as his chance to make a real difference and change the empire. With Lucilla's death, he says he will finally get the power he has always dreamed of. He wishes her final moments to be peaceful because they are all she has left. In his cell, Hano talks with Robbie, who asks him to carry a message to Acacia's soldiers, urging them to return to Rome. He tells them that their general is dead, that their city needs them, and to prove he is telling the truth, he gives them Maximus' ring. When they arrive, Hano explains what happened, and the warriors, moved by his words, agree to help him. Vigo frees Hano and tells him his sword will be made of wood. At first, Hano is confused, but Vigo replies that any object can become a weapon in the right hands. The gladiators break free, and Hano declares that today they fight for the empire to free it from the oppressors and those greedy enough to destroy it. Their actions will lead them to a better future. Hano dons his father's armor and heads out to the arena. The traitors are tied to a sacrificial offering, and at the top of it is Lucilla. Hano fights bravely for his mother with the gladiators by his side. The crowd rises, attacking their oppressors. Just when Hano is about to save his mother, Marcus, using a bow and arrow, ends her life. Lucilla dies in her arms, and devastated, Hano rushes after her killer. Marcus flees but prepares himself, knowing that Acacia's soldiers are close. However, he trusts his army of 6,000 Praetorian warriors. When he reaches the city gates, Acacia's soldiers are waiting for him. Hano finds him and tells him he is going to make him pay for all the harm he has caused. Marcus, however, claims his actions are justified, that he was chosen and the gods wanted him to commit such crimes. Hano doesn't care about any of that. He just wants his life to end. They fight, and Marcus uses the strongest pride to harm Hano. At one point, he tries to stab him, but Maximus' armor protects him. In a counter-attack, Hano cuts off his hand and then slits his throat. Marcus' lifeless body floats in the water. As both sides watch what is happening, Hano walks toward both groups, announcing that the conflict is over and that today he will fulfill his grandfather's dream. Marcus Aurelius. He is the son of Maximus and Lucilla, and he hopes that with their help they will build a better government. It is time to act. Both groups agree to follow him, and Hano becomes a new emperor of Rome. In the final moments, Hano returns to the arena and approaches the chariot where his mother passed away. He asks for her forgiveness, bends down, and takes a handful of sand from the arena floor. With a prayer, he asks his father to give him strength. In that moment in the afterlife, we see Maximus' hand, a sign that despite all the hardships, he never abandoned his son and was always by his side.